All righty, good morning, traders. This is Blake, and you are listening to the F.A.C.E show. And I'm stepping in for Dale because his internet's down. For what I just checked my messages, and he said his internet is down, and he's irritated and threw his computer and everything. So it looks like it's just going to be me, you, and everybody else here. K-Man and Ryan are in the house. So what's happening, gentlemen?
Morning, morning, morning.
Morning. What's happening? I was worried something happened to Dale. One of the things, and I know everybody does this nowadays, but I've been doing it, it seems like forever, just because it's one of those things about getting up at 3 in the morning that I can't have people, calling me at night and, waking me up. So I've always used the do not disturb feature. I think everybody uses it now. Anyway, mine stays on until this time in the morning. So I didn't even see my phone messages. Dale had sent me a message that his internet's down, but he's fine. He'll be back tomorrow. And we will not have a guest today. Pedro had written him last night, and he is actually rescheduling. So the good news is the three of us will be here, and maybe we might have a couple of other of the ForexAnalytix team members come in and join us today as we brief you on what's happening in the market, because there's a lot happening in the market, isn't there? What I got up, and the first thing that I said this morning, K-Man was in the chat room. I was like, what the hell happened overnight? What the hell happened to the dollar and the yen and everything else? So there's been a lot moving, and K-Man, since you and I have been chatting a little bit in the ForexAnalytix chat room, and if you guys don't know, I mean, here's the ForexAnalytix chat room. Like I was just reading through news articles just to get briefed on everything that was happening, but we've been having conversations all morning. This is just this morning, just since I woke up, like literally.
Stop there, stop there.
Oh,
Go
right.
down a little bit. Go back up just a tiny bit. Go back up just a tiny bit.
Yeah.
Tiny bit, a little more. There must be a picture somewhere.
Oh, this picture?
Yeah, that was what's happening this morning,
Okay.
snipers were
And then,
up.
and just so everybody knows, this is the ForexAnalytix chat room. This is just the last hour. I mean, we've been going on and on and on about what's been happening in the markets. And if you guys don't have that community, then you should be in the ForexAnalytix community. It's $1 for 10 days to try it out. Anyway, so K-Man, brief us, all of us that are just waking up. I'm still like trying to, gulp down my first cup of coffee over the last hour and a half. Tell us on what's going on. Brief us on what's happening with the yen, because that has been the big mover that I've seen overnight.
Well, there's been a couple of things. There's been, first of all, that Trump interview where he lashed one out to China and Japan, keeping their currencies too low.
Yeah, because Trump doesn't like Japan's yen so weak.
Yeah, he doesn't like Taiwan, he doesn't like China, and now he doesn't like Japan anymore either. So he first of all lashed out at Taiwan that they should pay up for defense. That sent the TSMC and other chips, semiconductor stocks down quite a bit. Then he gave in that interview, he was saying that China was keeping their currency too low. Then he also said that Japan was doing the same thing. But at the same time, Canada was out as well with an interview saying that there's too many speculators around and they will do anything that is needed to send those speculators look elsewhere. So all of it came together, and then we had that break, 157.40, 157 the figure, and had a bit of a snowball. We're still guessing that there is strong suspicion that they are on a bit of a guerrilla type intervention instead of going like with the big boots doing 6 trillion yen or so per shot, that they do like the 2, 3, a couple of times, and perhaps one more today. We will see that tomorrow on the accounts, Bank of Japan accounts. But it is possible that they came in again, today, just to make sure, sending a reminder that they are serious and at the same time buying time until the next Bank of Japan. So
Which is just at the end of the month, just so
yeah,
everybody
correct.
knows the BOJ is coming out just here at the end of the month.
On the
So
31st, yeah.
yep. All right,
So that's about it.
that
What happened today on those pairs and in the stock market, especially Nasdaq, but all the rest, it's been weighing on everything, right?
yeah, and I want to make sure everybody sees this. Everybody's been talking about rotation. That's the one thing that we've been mentioning here for the last week, and I even talked about on the week ahead video a couple weeks ago. It's like, don't get bearish the equity markets yet, because rotation. You have to watch the rotation in the market, and obviously this week the Russell broke out, but check out pre-market. Pre-market, we're actually coming off a little bit. Obviously the rest of the market's down a little bit more. When you take a look at the S&P, it's down like 1%. Russell's down, not as exaggerated, but that we have to still watch it. Don't be don't be lured into the idea that, oh, it's just all the S&P 500 is just it's the most um it's all the major stocks, so that's going to be the most of the market. No, there are rotations, but we are seeing a broad-based sell-off at this moment, and you got the
Mm.
Nasdaq 100 that's down pretty big and right at key support right now. So anyway, thank you for the update, especially about the yen. Everybody at this point in time, we should all understand it is the Trump trade. And I say that because there's a really high possibility that Trump will be the next U.S. president, and he'll retake the White House. So we have to trade accordingly. This is not to be political. It is going to affect the markets, and it is affecting the markets as we speak. So you have to take that into account. You can't hate the players. You have to hate, you have to play the game in this particular sense. So thank you for the update, K-Man. Ryan, what the hell happened with sterling? I mean, we had UK retail sales, or excuse me, CPI come in better than expected. What happened there?
Well, we came in pretty much bang on the money. No change in any of the numbers. The headline staying at 2%, core staying at 2%. There's enough stickiness in some of the other numbers, services, CPIH, retail price index. On the face of it, nothing's changed between the June BOE and this data. So if they weren't sure back in June, they're probably not sure again this time. But as I've been saying in the chat room this morning, there's an optics slant to this, because inflation is at the Bank of England's target at 2%. And Bailey previously said that they wouldn't necessarily wait till it hits target before they start to cut rates, and one cut would be small and wouldn't end restrictiveness. So do they want to let inflation go through 2% in another read while keeping rates high to fight all the other stickiness? That might create a bit of a problem, because then they want to be going, well, why is inflation dropping? You're not doing anything about it. Or do they do a little cut in August and just say, yeah, that's a little cautionary cut, and we'll sit back for a bit. Market's underpricing August meeting at 25% chance of a cut. I think that's underpriced. But we've got jobs and wages tomorrow, which might get a few of those fence sitters jumping off the fence.
So let's talk about sterling. I mean, we're trading above 130. I thought 130.20. I actually almost put in an order to short sterling at 130.20. I didn't last night, but it's a big confluence. It's 161% extension of this last move. We still have this bull flag pattern still has some room, and this is kind of the thing that's made me a little hesitant. Obviously, sterling looks so strong against so many different currencies. There is definitely some upside potential here, if not more than what you see at this moment. But technically speaking, we're making a rally. We hit the 88% retracement. It's a possible Gartley reversal. It's a trend line reversal level. You can see it right here. I want to short. Technically, I want to short because my charts say, well, we're up against good resistance, but it doesn't always make sense to short that, because you saw the price action, or just short because of technical levels, because the price action in the dollar was pretty damn bearish yesterday. What do you say about the price action of the dollar overall, Ryan? Because we had a strong retail sales number. The baby boomers, and I read an article, and I read this analysis piece. Sorry, it's still 5 o'clock in the morning here. I read an analysis piece yesterday about baby boomers are going to continue to drive U.S. retail sales, and keep them very, very, very strong, even as the average consumer is under pressure, which I'm going to just say firsthand experience, just looking at, I'm at the age in my 50s where all my parents, fortunately for me, they're still alive, and but all my friends and people that I know, their parents are baby boomers, and they are spending like crazy. They're spending money like, I'm not taking this to the grave with me, so I'm spending it. And I can truly attest to that at this point. And I've seen that as a really, really strong behavior in my circles. Not saying that that's, evidence everywhere else, but I am seeing it in my circles. What do you say about the dollar price action yesterday when the dollar just gave up all of those gains from early morning?
Well, once again, it's the market. It's still looking for the cuts. It's not trusting the data. There's probably people picking holes in that retail's data, saying it's not inflation adjusted. Blah 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 blah. The market's in the mood it's in at the moment. Where the dollar's going to get hit. I think you've always got an element that gets too bearish over the US economy. And I'm not talking just your zero hedges. There's always an element, stocks, this is the top in stocks, economy is going to roll over, blah, blah, blah. We've had this for 9 months, trying to guess the Fed rate cut. But today there's different things going on, and it's once again shows that all dollars aren't the same. We've had Trump talking about dollar yen, dollar yuan, those currencies being too weak, you might put tariffs on. So we've seen strengthening in those currencies. And you've seen weakness elsewhere and a bit of strength elsewhere. It's again this situation where you can't trust what you actually see, and you take dollar yen, you can't even trust the levels. 157. We were all looking at 157. It lasted 5 minutes before blasting through. So you've got to come back to the fundamentals. Okay, some of the market's looking for a collapse in the US economy. It's not getting it. We're seeing yellow flags. We're seeing areas like housing that are weakening a little bit. We get housing data today, starts and permits. We'll get another insight. If housing starts and permits jump up again, everyone's going to go, well, you put that flag down. So, everything points, take a big wide view. Okay, the US economy looks like it's softening a little bit, but it's still in soft landing mode. There's no reason why anyone should start smacking the dollar really, really hard. But, keep an eye on yields. That was a strange thing this morning. This dollar sold off while yields were just bouncing. If you look at tens, it was just bouncing off of 416, 415. And, because you should always look at what yields are doing when the dollar's moving. And, you can see there, 418, and we're still looking a bit weak in the dollar. That's a little change in the mood. The dollar's not following yields.
Yeah, that's interesting. But by the way, I still believe that the 10-year, the ZNs are in process of really ripping balls right now. They're gonna continue to squeeze higher and drag down yields too. I think this is a big breakout. Hey, I want to stop for a moment. I want to give a shout out to Ronald Lemberger. Ronald Lemberger is listening, and he's in the house. Now, Ron, you and I have met in person in Dallas, Texas, about 12 years ago. And he had been in our ForexAnalytix chat room he'd been in the Wise Trade Group's chat room before ForexAnalytix for probably about a decade. And he is a baby boomer, and he said He just said to me, 50 is still a kid, man, dang right, spend it. African safari, Mediterranean cruise, and he is running around, being grandpa and hanging out. And it's Ron, it's really good to see you, buddy. Yep. And he said, too many years ago. Matter of fact, Ron, I bet you were in your 50s when I met you when I was in my late 30s, maybe early 60s. Anyway, good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. That's a long-term, person who's been with me for probably a couple of decades and listening to my analysis. So good to see you, Ron. All right, back to analysis. And good morning, everybody else. I see Tiffany's in the house. Marcus, let's see, Simon, George, Tony, back from France, maybe. Michael, W, Saloom, Patrick. Good to see you guys. Good to see you all. And glad you all are here. All right, so let's continue on. What do we, let's look around at the rest of the market. I mean, we got the euro blasting through highs. Now, I'm going to just tell you guys my plan. If you watch the week ahead video, this is my plan. It's been my plan the whole time, and I'm just looking to sell the euro on a move to 110. Matter of fact, I'll be looking to sell the euro on a move to 109.85, which is the 127% extension. I mean, that you guys, I've been planning this out literally, since the weekend, and it's coming to fruition. I just don't know if they're going to be the FX gods are going to be nice enough to give me my entry. What do you think about the euro trading up at 110? K-Man, you've been fairly negative on the euro. Me too, by the way, as a whole.
Yeah.
But is it worth shorting the euro up at 110, knowing that you got Trump probably coming into the White House? I believe that he's overall going to be net negative for the dollar in his tenure, but some people believe that the dollar should strengthen initially on tariffs and yada, yada, yada. What do you think about selling the euro up at 110?
Well, first of all, things are going to come in waves. It's not going to be like one-way ticket.
Like a flick of the light switch?
Yeah, well, no, not really. I wouldn't think so. This being said, the second half of this year is starting to happen, right?
Right.
So, but let's say that I'm selectively short dollars somewhere, but I'm also a little long the dollars that, like for instance, dollar rand and dollar China. And I think it's going to be a very different scenario now for the euro. As I said, I was going more neutral, but I'm still short selective euro, but not versus the dollar. But it's I think 110, 109.80, 110. We can see it. We can even see a bit of a stop run through it, but then that should be enough for this round. That's my feeling about the euro dollar. Other dollars may have further to go, but there's so much like happening at the same time. You were talking about that rotation. We know about the Trump interviews. We know about people trying to get out of some of the stock markets right now. At the same time, sterling is doing better. I mean, a lot of things are moving at the same time, and euro dollar long is for sure not on my agenda right now. I'd rather be short another dollar. I'm still long a bit of gold as well. But I could see myself give it a try just to see if 110 is going to cap, especially that I don't expect too much about the ECB from the ECB tomorrow.
Yeah, and speaking of which, I'm gonna ask Ryan this. Ryan, we do have the ECB tomorrow. I mean, Christine Lagarde, she is not going to be hawkish by any stretch of the means, but do you think she's going to push out the inevitable a little bit further? What do you think about tomorrow's ECB? And I know we might be covering that live tomorrow. Let me double check, because I forget that we'll actually cover the ECB live as it releases exactly 23 hours and 56 minutes from now. So, Ryan, what are your thoughts ahead of the ECB here?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a non-event. Everyone, it seems, is setting up for September. The market's looking at September for the ECB, for the Fed, for potentially for the Bank of England. She'll have her bags packed by the door and a cab waiting outside ECB HQ, ready to take her to the airport. So I'm not expecting much for her. She's not going to be hawkish. She'll probably just acknowledge inflation might be a bit bumpy because it hasn't continued going down in the last inflation numbers. And it's we're ready to move as and when we get that confidence. Have a happy summer. See you next month.
All right. Hey, real quick, guys, I want to take a little bit of a pause, and before we get into some of the setups I think that are good setups today, just want to talk about a couple of things. First of all, if you haven't checked out the Trader Funding Program, remember you have 2 weeks left. If you take a Trader Funding Program assessment, you can get a one-on-one session with me. I'll just kind of explain to you some of the tools you get with ForexAnalytix, kind of the tips on how to pass an assessment. I've passed a couple of assessments, and I want you to kind of know what I did to get through them, because it's all discretionary trading, especially for those of us that are discretionary traders. It's just kind of the little tips on how to get through that. Because this way you can access larger amounts of capital. You don't have to risk your own capital. It's kind of nice. But I also want to mention really quick, I want to mention what's happening on August 1st. August 1st, we will be on the F.A.C.E show. We will be interviewing a couple of the lead traders from the Gelber Group. We have no association with the Gelber Group other than they're just friends of some of my friends. A couple of guys that I traded with, actually one of the guys that I traded with at Gellos Capital. He knows one of the guys that have been here for 19 years. He'd been following me on social media on Twitter for like 10 years. So we ended up meeting. Great guy. We have kids around the same age, so on and so forth. Anyway, they have like trading locations, desks in New York and in Chicago and in Europe. And they're running a free trading competition for. Now, this is only for US based traders for this go around. They expect to get hundreds of applicants because you have to apply. They're going to let in probably about 30 people. And the cash prizes are significant. First place is 20,000 US dollars. Second place, 10,000. Third place is 5,000. But you don't even have to be a winner of the cash prizes because it's just a P&L, like whoever's got the highest P&L in 2 months. They're looking at, and they're really looking at the way you trade, how you manage risk, because they're looking longevity to have traders join the Gelber Group. This is just their trading desks in New York, in the city. So you can see what it looks like. This looks just like our office that we had in Florida. Gellos was a little bit different, but ours in Florida looked just like this. And you can trade amongst some of the giants. And so this is a really wonderful opportunity. It's free. You guys, even if you're not in the US, so you can't participate this time around, you should be listening to this on August 1st. So I just want to mention to you, it is free to listen in. It's free to enroll, and you can be in the Trader Funding Program and do this at the same time. For those of you that are like, oh boy, I'm already doing Trader, it doesn't matter. It's you can do them both concurrently. So anyway, I just wanted to stop and mention that. All right, let's continue on. So we do have some data coming out today. I think the ECB is the big event for tomorrow. Ryan, you already mentioned we got some housing starts and building permits. Why do I even care? Like I'm an American. My home has doubled in price over the last 5 years or 7 years. Why do I even care about this housing data?
Because you're a trader. That's why.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, let's.
We all own houses, but
Yes.
we've got value, but we're trading. So the housing market, building permits and starts have been coming down for 3 months on the trot now. It's one area we've been talking about, seeing some of these yellow flags being waved. Yesterday's NHAB index, NAHB index came down a pip, and builders, 31% of builders said they're having to cut prices to sell stock. That's up from 29% in the prior month. So the wobbles, this is one of the areas that's wobbling. So we need to see if it keeps wobbling.
Yeah, so I think this housing market, and K-Man, I'll get your opinions here too. The housing market's going to be very, very crucial, in my opinion. I was actually just having a conversation with a friend of mine who wants to buy a cabin. He wants to buy a second home. And I'm like, bro, you got to wait. Like, you got to wait because, you know, the way the U.S. economy and because he's not, you know, really an economy type of person, like understand the economy. I'm like, okay, we got to watch the jobs data. The jobs data starts to weaken. You know, you start to get job losses. There's so many Airbnbs. There's so many second homes that people own that those are the those are the properties that actually go you know, up for sale first. Because if you are let's just say a person here in the US and you have an Airbnb or a second home and you lose your job, you're going to keep your primary residence, you're going to sell your secondary residence. So you start to see those fringe you know, areas really come under pressure. And then, you know, then hopefully we don't get like some sort of housing kind of price collapse. But I believe that we're getting to a point where house prices are so high that that now you know, buyers are really becoming you know, scarce at this point in time, and that's happened all across the U.S. So it's going to be really interesting to watch the housing starts and to see what home builders are doing, and watch their behavior, because you know, they're probably still wanting to put supply out on the market in an undersupplied situation. So it's going to be really interesting to watch that. All right, we've got just a few minutes. I want to ask before I go into what I'm looking at today, let's talk to K-Man. K-Man, give me like the one trade that you're looking at right now that you want to keep an eye on.
Well, the thing is, I've been in my trades for a while, but so one thing, if you believe in a bit of risk off, I think yesterday the reason why dollar rand went lower closer to 18 was partially due to the rally in gold, because they're still digging the shiny stuff up over there. That's one reason, and the dollar a bit under pressure, but we've seen it hold once more. Okay, so that is one that I'm a little bit in right now, but very small. So this is one where I'm not short, but rather long dollars. But that is because I'm still a bit bearish on the rand. The other one, and there I'd look for continuation still, is euro sterling on the defensive, because I don't think ECB will change that much, and there's still, I would say, relatively speaking, enough positivity going around in the sterling. But for the rest, I don't. I'm still long gold, but I've scaled back, because I think that somewhere around 2,500, even though the Asians bought it again overnight, somewhere around 2,500, maybe we see a few of those take profit guys coming out on a first attempt. So I'm
Well, we're about at the 127% extension, and if you're a wave
around there.
Elliott wave guy, we are on the fifth wave. That's what Jim Welsh thinks. He thought we'd make one last new high before we see
Gregor
more
thinks as
significant
well.
declines. So maybe that's what we get. Ryan, what's a trade that's on your radar right now, and then we're going to look for the data as it's being released.
Yeah, dollar China. Both myself and K-Man live on the Flow Show dipped into, added back a bit of what we've been cutting yesterday in this dollar China move down into the 726s. So I'll be keeping an eye on that one. And
so do you get long dollar CNH?
Yeah,
we long. We both long. We were cutting yesterday above 728, 729s, and
Okay.
then we got a dip this morning. So he front run me as usual, and we
Damn it, K-Man.
726s. Terrible. He's
He's like, what he does is he just lets you talk, and you're like, oh, you know, so you're like you're busy in conversation on the Flow Show, which you guys should all be listening to. If you're up in European hours, you should be listening to these two guys. But what he's doing is, as you're talking and you're trying to go navigate charts, he's just front running your trades. Horrible, K-Man. Horrible, horrible. Anyway, hey guys, we have all this housing data coming out. We have the S&P right in the middle. We have yields over here to the right. We have the dollar index to the left. And by the way, I'm selling any rally in dollar yen. I'm going to be adding to my dollar yen exposure any move towards 157 today. Obviously, if the euro gets to 110, I'm going to be all over selling that too if we can get it. But that's a big if, and I'm not sure that's going to happen. I think the dollar yen recovery to 157 is pretty much going to happen today. So hoping so. Maybe after this data, let's see.
better than expected. Better than expected on both.
Wow, building permits, housing starts, building permits. Yeah, I mean, decent data here. Let's see if we get any reaction. Looks like the stock market is not reacting much. The dollar's a little firmer against Canada. You know what? Speaking of which, since we don't have Pedro da Costa, by the way, he's rescheduling with Dale. Dale's internet's down, so I want to address just Sam's comment here, and I just wanted to say that that as far as we're looking at like the Trump trade. What is the Trump trade? K-Man.
Yes, sir.
Between Scheinbaum, she's going to be taking office here in
Mm-hmm.
October, early October. We got potential of President Trump. I mean, if you're a Mexican peso carry trader and you are long Mexican peso, Japanese yen as some traders would say, balls deep, on this carry, do you start to get worried being long Mexican pesos in a
Wow.
Trump
I
environment?
think they got worried already a couple of times. So I was just we are talking about that in the chat room this morning, actually, or a little after you walked in with Mark. I think the non-Japanese and non-long-termers have all, yeah, it was in a thread, have already had a couple of alerts. So I think the most of them I would assume are gone, but I still think that Mrs. Watanabe and Sons and some of the trust funds that they still have some of it on, perhaps less, but I would say keep an eye on not only what's happening like with interventions also, but keep a very close eye on what's going on in the Nikkei and the topics, because there I think lies a danger for the carry trade. So why? Because we know that for more than a year and a half, we know that Buffett has been investing in Japan, and
Huge.
they traditionally have a whole suite of followers. And look at the Nikkei, because if that starts to really turn, or the topics even, if that starts to really turn, then we may have all of a sudden a bit of a snowball effect, and more investors into Japan getting out, and per correlation, that is actually positive yen. Now, to come back on the mix, as you were asking, I think time, as I said it already a couple of times, time is now starting to play against the mix, because the further we go, the further we get closer to the official handover, which is, I think, in September between AMLO and Scheinbaum. But I suspect that they would want to already put some regulations in place, which could be anti-investor. And then, of course, we run into the US elections with all the risks that may have for the Mexican peso. So I wouldn't be completely ruling it out that because it's still an 11% currency, that we have one more leg higher in the mix. But if you take purely dollar mix, I think somewhere in the 1730, 1745 zone, it should run out of steam right now, because I do think that time is starting to play against the Mexican peso now.
All right. Well, I want to keep an eye on it. I can't trade the the Mexican peso, Japanese yen, but I watch it like a hawk because I know it influences a lot of what I'm doing. And it is a big influence in not only the FX market, but the carry trade in general, which, if you guys are trading around risk sensitive things, it is something you should all be paying really close attention to. So gentlemen, I wanted to mention, Sam said Airbnb was instrumental in so many renters losing their homes. And you know what? I think supply is going to be coming on the market quite a bit. I think I know a lot of, since I live in a very hot real estate market in the United States, being in the Phoenix, Arizona metro area, it's kind of like living in LA or Miami, or it's the fifth largest city in the United States, but it's a very hot real estate market. I know a lot of people that own Airbnbs, and they are suffering right now. They're undercutting each other. They're having a harder time making money on their properties There's probably a lot of newcomers that are underwater right now, and they're not being able to rent out their properties. So it's a very tricky environment with rentals at this point, and it's something that I believe is going to bring supply to the real estate market, and hopefully, give renters overall maybe some relief as they convert short-term Airbnbs into longer-term rental properties, which and end up undercutting other rental properties, which will, like I said, provide some relief for people that are in the rental market. So anyway, guys, I want to say thank you so much for being here today. Dale will be back tomorrow. Hopefully his internet gets all patched up, and he feeds the gerbils in the wheel to keep the internet going tomorrow in this third world country that we live in. Sometimes I always joke that our internet service here in the United States is like literally like third world sometimes. Anyway, I have the same issues. But I want to thank you all for being here. Really appreciate you all being part of the ForexAnalytix community. Ryan and K-Man, you guys do a hell of a job on the Flow Show. If you guys don't know how to get to the Flow Show, just go to our website and go to where it says webinars. You can get right to their link to their Flow Show right here. If you're up in European hours and you are not listening to these guys, you are definitely missing out, because I have the benefit of jumping in the ForexAnalytix chat room and getting briefed immediately, just going into the news and research room, going into the general chat room, being able to scroll up and just kind of see what was happening before I woke up. If you don't have that ability, you should be at least listening to these guys live every single morning. All right, gentlemen, have a great one. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today. We'll have Dale back tomorrow, and have a great day today in trading. If you're a ForexAnalytix subscriber, I will see you in 40 minutes on the Morning Edge. You all have a great day. Thank you so much. And thanks, Ryan. Thanks, man.
Toodles.